Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and today we are just starting a new reading vlog. I am doing another reading vlog, but it's for a specific project and I'm doing a lot of mood reading in the background of that vlog, and I kind of want to talk about all the things that I'm reading, so I just thought I would start another vlog. I don't know when this is going to go up or even what I'm going to read in it. I have a bunch of options between things that I have in the house, things that are on my TBR, things I brought home from the library. I've been very tempted by the books that I have on Libro FM lately, and so I just have a lot of things that I want to read. So I thought just do another reading vlog, maybe do it for about a week and see what I can get read in the background of my other vlog. So, true to form, I've started a lot of things. I haven't made very much progress on anything, but I've started a lot of things. I started The Magician of Tiger Castle by Louis Sachar. This is on my TBR for April. I pulled this from my TBR jar. It is an arc of a book that comes out in August. So I am behind on all my other arc reading, but ahead of the game for this one. I should be reading an arc for a book that comes out in April, but here I am. And Louis Sachar, I think that's how you say his name, I might be saying it wrong, is the author of Holes and Sideways Stories from Wayside School, and this is his first adult fantasy book that is going to be coming out, and I'm about 45 pages into it. I'm almost 50 pages in, and it's about the magician of Tiger Castle. And the voice is really interesting. He's breaking the fourth wall a ton. The magician is narrating it, and it's first person, and he's like in his 40s and very, very average, mediocre type man. I've only read the Sideways Stories from Wayside School series. I read it with my kids when they were much younger, and I really liked how his sense of ridiculousness, and this isn't as ridiculous as that series is, but I can like tell, you know, he's got similar sensibility, so I'm enjoying it so far. The chapters are really short. It's easy to just kind of fly through, and I'm interested to see what he does with a book written for adults. And then I kind of started Mary Barton the other night as well. This is by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is the book that I'm reading this month for my year of Butler and Gaskell. I am maybe 10 pages in, though. Do I remember what I read the other night? I don't know that I do. I might have to reread it. I stopped in the middle of chapter 1 and I don't know that I remember, but I'm not able to find an audiobook for this at the moment. So I'm reading it with my eyeballs. I am hopeful though, because I really liked North and South, so I know her writing works for me. I just think I have to give this like time to marinate in. And then I'm still chronically starting books on my Kobo, unfortunately. I still have the Foxhole Court and the Secrets of Ormdale. If you watched my April catch-up vlog, I still have those open on here. I haven't given them back. I haven't made any progress. I haven't decided if I'm reading them, if I'm not, if I'm interested, if I'm not. So they're just there. And then the other one that's pretty high priority that I think I want to start sooner rather than later is The Warden by Daniel M. Ford. Book 2 just came out for this book, and Tor sent me a copy of book 2, and I like the cover for book 2, so I want to read book 1 and see if I'm interested in this. And it says, for fans who've always wanted their Twin Peaks to have some wizards, The Warden is a non-stop action-adventure story. So I'm hopeful I like this because, like I said, they just sent me book 2. I really liked the premise for book 2. And I like the cover, and it's not very chunky, which is always nice. Hopefully the chapters are short, and hopefully he isn't weird about writing women in this, because that's really all I ask for if I'm going to read a book by a man, that they're not weird about writing women. And then I have like 5 other books checked out from the library, but we're not going to talk about them now. We'll talk about them if I pick them up. But if we were gonna just sit here and talk about books that I want to start right now, it'd be like a 15-minute video. That would be the video. It'd just be books that I want to mood read right this very second if I could read 10 books at the same time. Which, don't let me do that. Don't let me do that. That's not going to be good for my mental health. If I get to the point where I am currently reading more than 5 books, I am not doing well. That is my red flag, that not everything is okay. All right, I think I'm officially rambling now, so welcome to the vlog. Thanks for hanging out with me. let's hope I really utilize the escapist nature of books in this next week, because I'm struggling in real life. So I'd like to escape to a different world for a time. I don't know that I'm going to get to read today in particular. It's a pretty busy day. My husband's been out of town for 10 days and he finally comes home, but the kids didn't have school today. We had lots of stuff to get done. My twins had community service for school. My oldest and I had to get our bangs trimmed. The twins are at a birthday party. I have to go pick them up later. I still had to teach a class this morning. I'm subbing tomorrow, which, why? It's only 2 classes. But I am definitely abandoning my husband with the kids tomorrow. And maybe after work, we'll go do some quiet reading in a coffee shop, because that actually sounds so nice in this moment. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to the vlog. Okay. I have a reading update. Also, days are numbered for this yellow paint. I am so excited because I hate this color so much. The previous tenants for this house painted it this color. And it's horrible, but painting it just feels so overwhelming, but I've had it. So, not this month, but I think at the end of May, I'm gonna paint it. And it'll be so great to not have a yellow room anymore. It'll be so much more relaxing than it is now. Anyways, I have reading updates. First of all, I touched on this a little bit in our intro, but I'm 70 pages of the way through The Magician of Tiger Castle, and I'm enjoying it. It's a little weird. We are starting off, like, the prologue or the introduction, it was like set in contemporary times, and like he's sitting in a cafe. Oh, our main character's name is Anatoly, and he's sitting in a cafe, and it's like contemporary times, and then it's like we flash back to when he was the magician at this castle. And I think we're in our world, but just our world with magic, because he's referenced things even back in like the medieval timeline. He's mentioned things that exist in our worlds, like religion, places, cities, but the location of this kingdom is fictional. I mean, it's supposed to be in the south of France, but it's very much like a fictional kingdom. But I love the short chapters. I like when the humor pokes through. I think Anatoly is an interesting character to follow. Yeah, it's entertaining. I have a good time when I pick it up. Now, I don't know how memorable this book will be. We'll see how it goes. It might end up being like a good fun time, but not something that sticks with me for very long. But, you know, I'm like maybe a quarter of the way through it, so we'll see. And then when I was talking about all the things I want to read, I forgot about the audiobooks I have checked out from the library right now. I'm sorry if the street noise is loud, but it's such a nice day. The windows are open. I'm not closing them, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. But I have 2 audiobooks checked out from the library right now that I have been putting off, and one of them is due in 4 days. So I started it while I was at the gym, and then as I've been doing chores around the house, and it is The Mourner's Bestiary by Aaron Koffel. This is a memoir that I found out about because of Easy Cat. He reviewed it on his YouTube channel, and I loved his review so much that I wanted to read the book, and he said the audio was really good, so I placed a hold on the audio. And this is about Erin, who has a genetic kidney disease, and it runs through her father's family. Everybody in her father's family has had it and has died from it, and so we're kind of getting Erin's story as a kid and growing up with her mother and her father, what it was like for her father to get sick and to slowly die, and now what it's like for her as a 42-year-old woman with a child of her own, and what her life is like. It's been pretty sad, but so far, I feel like obviously, but she's relating different sea creatures and how they live and how they survive to her family's experiences. And I'm really liking the audiobook so far. I've gotten 16% of the way through. I've listened to like an hour and a half. It's really good. I really like it. And then I have book mail to show you. So I opened these already because I have no chill and I couldn't wait. So if you've been here for a little bit, you'll know I really love T. Kingfisher. She's one of my favorite authors. I love her books so much. I have like a vlog all dedicated to reading Swordheart when it was re-released, and Orbit UK published her Saint of Steel series with these new covers, and they're in these gorgeous floppy paperback, and I ordered them, the beginning of March. And then because of all the kerfuffle with the tariffs, for a while Blackwell's was like, hey, we're not going to be fulfilling orders for the United States. And I just about had a meltdown because this has been like my carrot on the end of the stick. Like, I've been so excited for these books to come out. But then they were like, no, it's okay. And they mailed them out. Here they are. I got Paladin's Grace, which I have read. Paladin's Strength. I love these covers. I mean, come on. They're so pretty. Paladin's Hope. And then the only one I haven't read is Paladin's Faith. I've kind of been waiting for this one. So yeah, that's my little book mail. Makes me super happy. I'm gonna go back to reading and cleaning now. Oh, the other audiobook that I have for my library that I need to prioritize, because this is the second time I've checked it out and the wait time is so long on this. There's 22 people behind me in the wait list. I cannot not listen to this book. I need to do it. Is Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. I do own a physical copy of this. And I have started that book before and then set it down. And like I said, this is the second time I've checked out the audiobook. I need to read it. Highest of high priorities is reading that book. Well, highest is finishing The Mourner's Bestiary because that's due back in 3 days. But like, then Hell Followed With Us. I cannot not read that book this time. Got it? Got it. Good. Okay, I'm about to do some chores and hi, so I can sit down and read. But I need to show you like the most perfect cold brew I've ever made. I borrowed a milk frother from my library because we have like a library of things, and it has a cold foam setting, and I just used it to make this beautiful, beautiful concoction. I'm so excited. Like, y'all, check out your local library because, you know, you never know what you might find. It's actually due back really soon, so now I gotta decide if I want to invest in my own, or if it's okay to just like check it out from the library once in a while. All right, I'm gonna stop admiring my coffee. I gotta tidy, make my bed, do all the things. All right, I am currently prepping for dinner, but we can talk about The Mourner's Bestiary by Erin Cauffill real quick, because I haven't given you an update yet, and I'm already 40%, 37% of the way through the book. So this is a memoir, and so far it is my favorite type of memoir where it's just a regular person. Erin Cauffill is not a celebrity. She's not like anybody you would know walking down the street. She's just a regular person who has something in her life that makes her not stand out, but it just makes her different. And Erin's family has this genetic kidney disease called polycystic kidney disease, PKD, I think is what it is. And it's a dominant genetic illness, so it's almost always passed down. Like the only way to stop this disease in your family is to not have children. And it runs on her father's side of the family. And so we're kind of getting Erin into different timelines. We're getting her in a more contemporary timeline where she is 42, she's divorced, and she has a 9-year-old son, and they're on like this island for vacation that her family went to when she was little. And then we're getting Erin's childhood told kind of in flashbacks from present day. And so far I really like it. Now it is incredibly sad because the realities of living with PKD are really hard, and of course living in the United States, this country, just makes it really hard for people who are chronically ill to exist and to be taken care of and to have any kind of treatment. So that's really frustrating. And then Erin's family, like her dad got super sick when she was an adolescent. Her mom became an alcoholic, and her mom like really failed her in big ways. And then Erin went on to marry a man who is now like failing her in really big ways, her ex-husband. So it's really sad, but I really like the writing, and she is talking about this really specific part of the coast up in, I think, Maine, and the different creatures that live in the water, and how, and tying like those creatures and their adaptations for living in the water and living with humans, and the effects of climate change on these creatures in this really specific area, and relating them back to her family and having PKD. My only thing is, I wish I hadn't waited so long. I wish I wasn't in a race with the library to finish this book. It's due back in 3 days. I think I'll be able to finish it without cramming too hard, but it is on my mind that I can't dawdle for too long, and I don't like feeling that pressure, but that's on me. I had it for 21 days and I dicked around and didn't start it. So it's living with the consequences of my actions again, I guess. So anyways, yeah, that's the update. I am currently reading 4 things. One of them is for the vlog project, and the other 3 I think we've talked about. Oh, I started my Elizabeth Gaskell book, which is Mary Barton, for this month. But I read like 10 pages earlier this week, and then I had to restart it because I remembered nothing. And so I've only really read 2 chapters. So I'm definitely also going to have to figure out how to focus on that more. But I think I just need to finish this other vlog project first, and then it can be business as usual. Well, you will be so happy to know that I finished the Mourner's Bestiary with 5 hours to spare before Libby snatched that hold out of my fingers. And I'm going to give it 5 stars. I really, really liked this memoir. It's, like I said earlier, it's my favorite type of memoir that blends regular person's life with a very specific interest that that person has. So I really liked Erin Cathell's writing, and I liked how her story was structured, how she introduced you to this very like fraught situation that she found herself in with her son in 2014. And then we jumped back in time and walked through her childhood, what it was like to be raised by a parent that has the same disease that she has, and what it was like for her mother to be in this family of people who got really, really sick, and the strain that that puts on a marriage, on a child, on a family, and the ways her parents both succeeded and failed. Her childhood was really sad. I don't know if Erin views it as sad, but as an outsider hearing it, it made me really sad. She goes through a lot of things. She goes through a lot of really hard things. So I think check trigger warnings, but also like I didn't know anything about PKD. And I loved how she tied it to marine life, and specifically marine life in the Gulf of Maine, which is where she has spent a good chunk of her time. It's a place that has a lot of emotional ties for her, and a lot of happy memories and a lot of scary memories. And I just loved how she tied it back to the conservation of marine life. And then we flash forward back to 2014 and the situation she found herself in, and how that worked out, and what path her life took from then until whenever she wrote the book. I really liked it, so that's 5 stars. Audiobook was great. Highly recommend the audiobook. I think she did a great job narrating it. And I think she just had like a fiction book release fairly recently that's being compared to Station 11. I might check it out, maybe. I don't know that I actually want to read Cli-Fi, but I think the cover is really pretty. I'm not taking it off the table. I think eventually I will probably circle around and read her fiction because, like I said, I really loved this book. I thought it was great. I think one of the things I found the most interesting is she talks about PKD and for how long there wasn't a lot of treatment for it, and there definitely isn't a cure for it. And that the assumption was just that you were going to die. And so the people in her family who had it didn't worry about saving for retirement or like just saving money in general. You just live your life very differently when you have a pretty good authority from the medical community and from experts that your life is going to be shorter. And it echoed somebody I know from Instagram who has cystic fibrosis. She has said multiple times, because she's the same age I am, she's 40, and her assumption was always that she was going to die really young because people with CF tend to die really young. But in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a new drug introduced on the market, and she was able to get onto a trial of it and be on it, and now her lung function has increased and improved in ways that she and her doctors never thought. Like, she has lung function now that she never thought she would have. And now all of a sudden, like, she's looking at living for decades longer than she thought, which is amazing. But she hasn't saved for retirement. Like, she hasn't done things that you do to prepare yourself for old age, because she never thought she would have the luxury of seeing old age. So I think that's thought process and like a mental juggling act, I guess, that I find very interesting. And I really enjoyed that part. Not enjoyed, but I don't know, that's just such a weird mental space to have to find yourself in, I would imagine. So yeah, highly recommend if you're looking for a good memoir. So I've made baby progress on my other two reads. I've read maybe one more chapter of Mary Barton since I talked to you, and I read maybe like 20 pages of The Magician of Tiger Castle last night, which is the only time I've picked it up. I've really been focusing on The Mourner's Bestiary, and I'm still trying to wrap up that other project. I'm on my last book, but it's slow going at the end. I don't know why. Anyways, I have to start Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White, because this is the other audiobook that I have, and it's due in 8 days. So I'm going to start this. This is YA dystopian horror. We're following Benji, who is trans and is in this religious cult and tries to escape. So he escapes from the cult, but they're hunting him down because they injected like a biological weapon into him or something like that, a deadly bioweapon into him. And so they're trying to find him. And he is rescued by a ragtag group of queer teens. So we'll see how this goes. I've been really interested in reading Andrew Joseph White, but I've been pretty scared because of all the content warnings I've seen for his books. And I have a really unsure relationship with queer YA horror. I love the themes of them usually, and I love the endings, but the horror of being queer, which is the way the world treats you, is where I don't love queer YA horror. But I'm hoping I love this a lot because I've heard really great things about his books. So wish me luck, and maybe I'll finish The Magician of Tiger Castle by the time I update you again. Maybe. I did forget that I was filming this vlog for just a tiniest amount of time. It's been 5 days since I've talked to you last, but it's all right. I'm back in it. This is now the only vlog that I'm working on, which is great. So you get my full undivided attention, and I do have reading updates. Let's start with the bummer update. I did start Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. I am 38% through it, and I decided this morning that I'm gonna DNF this. Now, I will say, this is not a bad book. I'm not DNFing it because it's a bad book. I'm just DNFing it because it is not the right book for me to be reading. So this is post-apocalyptic, which I think I mentioned, and our main character Benji is escaping this religious cult that he has been a part of after his father was murdered trying to get him out, and then falls in with this group of queer teens, and they are fighting for survival in this world that has been decimated by, I think, a virus. And before leaving the religious cult, Benji went through some sort of ritual in which he is going to turn into what they're calling a seraph, but it's like he's gonna turn into a monster, and he's supposed to destroy the world. And I think what I was hoping for was a little along the lines of American Rapture by C.G. Lead. Now, obviously, maybe not that intense since that is adult horror and this is YA horror, but I'm not feeling the same about it. And I'm just not the intended audience for this. And that is what comes with reading in age categories that aren't meant for me, is sometimes they are books that can cross ages and will work for multiple different ages to pick it up. And then there are other books that are like very much written for their audience. And I think this is one that is very much written for its audience. Also very much written for trans readers. I'm not going to over-explain it. This is just not for me, and that's okay. So I'm going to DNF, and I will definitely try Andrew Joseph White again. I do want to try The Spirit Bares Its Teeth, which is like historical YA horror, and I have read a little bit of that before, and I liked what I read. So not crossing him off my list. I'm just like, I just don't want to read this one. Why do I feel like I need to over-explain my DNFs? It's okay. Okay to DNF a book. What do I want to tell you about next? I guess I'll talk about Mary Barton next. I did restart it, and now I am 50 pages in, and I feel like this is finally getting going. I'm not liking this as much as I liked North and South, though granted North and South was a reread, so I already had familiarity with it, whereas this one I know nothing. This is also, I believe, Elizabeth Gaskell's debut, and she wrote North and South later in her career. But we start this book and we don't even meet Mary. First off, we meet her father, John, and we learn about John Barton and his wife and their family, and then the wife gets sick and she dies, and we're going through the family grieving, and then we're meeting friends of their family. We meet Mary's friend Margaret, and then finally 50 pages in, I feel like the story has finally shifted to focus on Mary, because while Margaret is over visiting, they hear word that one of the mills has caught fire, and Mary and Margaret go to watch the mill burn, because that's supposed to be like pretty exciting sight in, 19th century England. What do you do for a good time? Oh, you go watch the mill while it's on fire. And this man named Jem, who's about Mary's same age, and he and Mary have like a little bit of history together, but she isn't like super fond of him. Anyways, he's caught in the burning mill, and they watch him be rescued by the fire brigade, and then he goes back to try to rescue other men who were trapped inside, and Mary swoons from all the excitement. And anyway, so I feel like now I'm finally starting to get into this story, and we'll see how this goes. I think there's supposed to be a murder in here, but yeah, I haven't been focusing on it a lot because the beginning did feel so meandering, but I'm gonna keep going. I haven't decided if I'm allowed to DNF for my year of Butler and Gaskell. I haven't yet. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm allowed to DNF these books. I'm not planning on it. I'd like to finish it. It's just very slow going, so I might have to assign myself pages just to make sure I finish this before the end of the month, because it's already the 20th and I don't want to carry this over into May. I want to finish it. And then I only have 50 pages left for The Magician of Tiger Castle. This has become really fun. So the actual, I think I gave you the setup and like how this book starts, but the actual story is that the castle that Anatoly works at, there is a Princess Tulia, and her kingdom has kind of fallen on hard times, and they really need an alliance to make the kingdom profitable again. And so she's engaged to marry this prince, but then a month before the wedding, it's discovered that she's fallen in love with an apprentice scribe, and that is no good. No good. So the king tasks Anatoly with making a potion for the princess, so that, what does he initially ask him to do? Oh, he initially asks Anatoly to make a potion so the princess will be forced to fall in love with her prince, and then the scribe is going to get executed at the wedding feast. And Anatoly, who likes the scribe, is like, whoa, wait, what if I can make them forget that they love each other? And so the king was like, okay, fine, you can do that, but like, fine. And so that's kind of what gets going, is Anatoly goes into the dungeon and meets Pito, the scribe, and starts to build a friendship with him while testing out different potions on him to see which one will make him forget the princess. And just like hijinks ensue, like truly hijinks ensue. So much has happened in this little like 300-page book, but it's really fun. It's not serious. I don't have to think too hard about it. I think Anatoly is kind of a fun, like bumbling main character. I think if you like Dreadful by Caitlin Rozakis, which I love Dreadful. I don't think this is as good as Dreadful. Should I go get it? Why not? I can go get it. I think if you like Dreadful, you would also like this. Well, like I said, I like this better. I think the main character in here is easier to root for. Anatoly's fine, but he's just not as endearing as, what is this character's name? Gav. He's not as endearing as Gav. And also the side characters in here are really great, like so memorable and delightful, and just feel fully fleshed out as Gav is. Whereas I would say the secondary characters in this are all fairly forgettable. And I would say, I think this book is going to be fairly forgettable. I think it's a fun time to read, but it's not going to be a new favorite, but I'm having a really good time while I'm reading it. And the chapters are short, so it's so easy to fly through now that I've actually like focused my energy on it. When I was distracted by all the things, not so much, but now that I'm focused on it, I've read like 150 pages since yesterday. And then okay, so it's that time of the month for me where instead of finishing books, I am compulsively starting books. It's not my favorite habit that I do. It's definitely like my red flag. I don't like it. But Well, I started The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields last night, and I pulled this from my TBR jar for this month. And I, for some reason, thought this was like a contemporary witchy book, and it's actually historical, which I'm really digging because it's giving me like historical romance vibes, and I love that. But we met Marigold at the beginning, who is awkward and doesn't like being around people, and her mother is always pushing her out into society, and we meet her when she's going to a ball, and she's just dreading it and looking forward to when she can escape and to go out into like the meadow and be with nature. And her grandmother arrives to tell her that the eldest daughters in their family are all witches and born with magical powers, and Marigold has magic, and her grandmother needs her to come back to the island that her grandmother lives on to help protect it from these wicked witches that are called ash witches. Ash witches. And that's as far as I've gotten, but I'm liking it so far. I think it's sapphic, if I remember correctly. I have seen really mixed reviews for this, but Riley really loved it. I think Riley gave it 5 stars, and Riley and I tend to agree about a lot of books. So I'm really hoping this is one of those that we agree on. So it's Sunday. Did I say that already? It's Sunday. My plan for today, and I think for the week, I think I'll just extend this vlog until maybe Friday, but I'm definitely going to finish The Magician of Tiger Castle, and then I would also really like to finish The Honey Witch in this vlog as well, and then that will be 3 books. I don't know that I will finish Mary Barton, but I would like to make significant progress. I'm actually, after I'm done yapping at you, I'm going to do the math to figure out how many pages a day I need to read to finish this by the end of April, and I think that will be a good little time. All right, it's been a couple days and I have finished The Magician of Tiger Castle, and I don't know that I have anything to add from what I told you when I last updated. I did give this a 3.5 star. I think it's fun, lighthearted, kind of silly, not too overwhelming adult fantasy. I think if you grew up reading Holes or Sideways Stories from Wayside School, you would probably enjoy this. I think Louis Sacker wrote this for adults who grew up on his children's books. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Nothing earth-shattering. It's, you know, it's a good version of what it is. And then I did, in fact, do what I said I was going to do, and I put my little page tabbies in for Mary Barton, so that I can finish it by the end of the month. I need to finish my pages for today. I wasn't quite, accidentally slept in this morning, so I wasn't able to read quite what I needed to read. And then this is my like first thing in the morning book, so I can get those pages done with, and then the rest of the day I could just read whatever. And I'm still not liking this very much. Again, I don't know that Mary is really the main character of this story. I think you could have titled this book The People of Manchester. Because that's really what it is. It's about a few different people that live in Manchester, and Mary very much does not feel like the central character. We'll see how it feels as I go in, but I really feel like she could have called this John Barton, and that would have kind of been more accurate, because I feel like it is all centering around Mary's father. And then, so I have, like I said, I'm gonna sit down and read. I have a few more pages of this, I think I have like 15 pages left of my 29 pages that I need to read for today. And then I'm on page 132 of The Honey Witch, which I'm not loving very much. I think this at the beginning felt so high stakes for a cozy, where there were so many things happening. Sorry, y'all, there's a lot of outside noise. I have the windows open. I'm not closing them. It's too beautiful a day to have the windows closed. We're just gonna have to deal with the traffic noise. But I think there are a lot of really high stakes things that happen at the beginning of this book. And it, at one point, just really did feel like we were going from crisis to crisis to crisis. I would also say if you have recently lost somebody and you are deep in the grieving process, I would say maybe skip this for now, because it's not on the back. But I'm just going to tell you, because I don't think it really counts as a spoiler. Her grandmother ends up dying in the first quarter of the book, just from old age, but still. And the build up to that of the grief felt so overwhelming, where I was really grateful that I'm not currently grieving anybody, because I feel like this book, that part would have just eviscerated me if I was in the midst of the grieving process. So just take care if that's something that you are like currently working your way through. Sydney J. Shields leans into it. And now I'm just into Marigold being the Honey Witch and grappling with her loneliness. And we've met Lottie, who I think from the back is the love interest. And it says that she's a notoriously grumpy skeptic. I wouldn't even say she's grumpy. I think she's downright rude, like straight out rude, and I don't love it for a love interest because, like, my main complaint with like heterosexual romances is that if the man is rude, that's not grumpy. I don't want rude. Like, that's not, I don't want a main character to be with somebody who's rude to them. Grumpy just means like, grumpy to me just means that there's things that like ruffle their feathers, but not that they're out and out rude. I think you can be grumpy and still be a kind person. And I am very rarely on board for a rude love interest. So that does not bode well for me for the sapphic relationship in this. So wish me luck. All right, I'm roughly 200 pages into The Honey Witch, and I'm having an okay time. We watched Marigold go back to the island because her grandmother died, and then she's following her in the next like year as she builds up being the Honey Witch for the island and getting to know the people that come and ask for spells, and her getting to know the island that she lives on. And then her like long lost childhood friend August, she bumps into him after he's been broken up with and he's kind of mending a broken heart, and they kind of restart their friendship. And then he and Lottie, who is the love interest, come to stay on the island with Marigold while she attempts to prove to Lottie that magic is real, because Lottie doesn't believe that magic is real. She thinks it's just like a hoax and a myth. And again, I'm not buying this romance because Lottie's rude, and I feel like it doesn't make sense for them to have feelings with each other, for each other. Like, from Marigold's perspective, why would you get feelings for somebody who isn't very nice to you and thinks that you're purposefully deceiving people? And on Lottie's side, why would you develop feelings for somebody that you believe is lying about things that they can do? So I don't buy the romance. I also think that this book reads pretty young. There have been multiple times where it feels like I'm reading a YA book, and I just kind of wish everyone was a little bit older. I wish Marigold was a little older. I think I would like this better if it was. It feels very much like a coming of age story, and just not what I was wanting, unfortunately. I am going to finish it because I'm interested to where this is going to go. We're leaving the island now. Marigold got a letter that her sister is engaged to be married, so they're journeying back to her family home. And I don't mind that this is, like, there's not a lot happening. There are hints that there's going to be something more sinister in the future, but nothing has really happened yet. So it's a lot of kind of slice of life, which I don't mind. I actually like that part. I just wish they were a little bit older. I wish it didn't read so much like YA at times. I actually think this and The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst do have a lot of similarities. Not exactly the same, but I think themes are similar. But I think The Spell Shop is more of a me kind of book. And I don't think, I have like 150 pages left. It could become more for me. For right now, I think it's going to be like a dreaded 3.5 stars. Not that there's anything wrong with a 3.5, but I'm just so tired of giving out 3.5 stars. If you love this book, I want to just say I am so happy for you. And also, maybe turn off this vlog now before I talk about my rating for The Honey Witch. Okay, I'm giving it 2 stars. 2 stars! And this is one of those instances where I wish I had just DNF'd it and that I could have that reading time back. But alas, I did in fact finish it. And here are my quibbles. First, everything I said before still stands. I still think this reads very young, which is fine, but just not what I was looking for. 2, this is supposed to be cozy fantasy. And my definition of cozy fantasy means that there are not super high stakes. There can be stakes, but they need to be like mid-level stakes. 3 people die in this book. 3 people. I think if there is a death in your book, you are not cozy. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that is a reasonable explanation that if I am picking up a book that is classified as cozy, I should not have to encounter death. But maybe that's just me. Second, again, or third, numbers don't matter. I didn't buy the romance. I never got on board. I never bought into it. I did not believe that these two had actually developed feelings for each other. There's a lot of insta-love in this book, in my opinion, not just with our love interest, but there's a couple other characters that fall in love in this book, and their romances were super insta-lovey, and the author tries to use the magic to explain it away, but I just like, I don't know, it's like you just need to get to know each other, and no, getting to know somebody who is being rude to you. I do not believe that you can fall in love with somebody who is rude to you all the time, regardless of whatever that reason ends up being. I don't think anybody actually falls in love with somebody. Well, that's not true. I mean, there are people who do, but like genuine, like true love, like there's a big theme of true love in this. And I don't want a true love where you start to catch feelings for somebody who's mean to you. So it's 2 stars. And I'm so mad. And I'm so mad that it's 2 stars because I really thought that I was gonna love this. So that's a big old bummer. All right, slightly post final clip Emily, not quite editing Emily, but like post video Emily. I wanted to pop in with some recs for the Honey Witch real quick. If you also did not like this, but you like the ideas of this, I have 2 recommendations for books that I think are similar, but do it better. The first one is probably going to be not a surprising recommendation at all, but it is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I think this does magical community, finding your place in the world, a little bit of coming of age, but like this doesn't read as young as The Honey Witch read to me, and I really think this world is a little bit more fleshed out. This is still cozy with high stakes, but not death, basically. And I really loved the main character in this. She does have more of a prickliness and can come off rude, but I think because you're in her head and you know that the rudeness is more being shy and awkward and not knowing really how to interact with people, and that makes it easier to deal with rather than just like watching a character be mean to your main character. And this does have a little bit of a romance, but is not sapphic. And then I would also recommend the Mend and Metal series by Sarah Wallace. Book 1 is Letters to Half Moon Street, which I've talked about so much. And this is similar to The Honey Witch. This is set in historical England, but it's a very queer norm historical England. This does have a Achillean romance that I really loved. This book is epistolary. I think this is just delightful if you want cozy romance and like historical setting but has magic and doesn't bat an eye at queer relationships. I think this is really great. There are book 2 and book 3 are also good, but not as good. I haven't read book 4 yet. And then book 5 I also haven't read, but it's in the same world, and these are kind of like interconnected standalone, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal if you pop in somewhere else. So just some alternates. Like I said, if you also did not like Honey Witch, but you wanted to. And it's even more of a bummer because this is the last book for this vlog, and I am in fact going to close it out. Do I even remember what I read in this video? Oh, The Mourner's Bestiary, which was a win. I loved that so much. And then The Magician of Tiger Castle, which was fine, fun. Yeah. Not anything to write home about, but not, and I don't feel like I wasted my time reading this. And then The Honey Witch. We just went downhill in books as this vlog went along. Maybe I shouldn't have done this vlog. I feel like the longer it went, the worse my reading experience got. And then, of course, I haven't finished it, but I have made good progress on Mary Barton. Y'all, that murder that's on the synopsis, it just happened. And like this last, like, this does not count as book. This is like notes and appendices and, you know, all the stuff. So it's really like half the book to get to the murder. And I still think this should be titled Manchester. I still don't feel like Mary Barton is the main character of the story. It is focusing on her a little bit more, but she's not leading us through the story the way I expect a character in a classic to kind of guide us through the story, to be like our North Star and all the stuff going on. It's interesting to read this knowing this is her debut and to see what things she also put into North and South. Like there is a strike among the factory workers. The masters of the factories respond the same way they do in North and South. There's the same debate about the strike. There are character archetypes in here that are also in North and South. And so I'm wondering if Elizabeth Gaskell only wrote one type of story, and if everything else I'm going to read from her this year is also going to follow similar beats, which would kind of be a bummer, if I'm being honest. I don't want to keep reading the same story from an author all year. I'll have to, like, before I pick the next one for, I think June is when I'm going to read another Gaskell book, I'm going to have to look at what my choices are and see if there's anything that follows a different path, because it is not eerie, but, and not unsettling. Those are all like very dramatic words. I'm not wanting to be that dramatic about it, but it is, noteworthy. Let's say how similar this is with North and South. So yeah, there we have it. That's the end of the vlog. I hope this was entertaining. I don't know if it was. This felt like a real weird week for me to be trying to vlog. No, it's okay. It's okay. It got me through some books that I was needing to get through. And if you want to leave an emoji to let me know that you made it to the end of this video, I don't know. Let's leave a bee emoji for the Honey Witch, even though it was 2 stars. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye.